Coming up on this week's edition of Thunder Insider, we take a look back at the first road trip of the month and how the team fared in Toronto and our nation's capital.
Hey, look at the Connor Perkins. Get out of my way, because I can't stop.
We'll look at the continued development of the Thunder's backup point guard, Reggie Jackson.
I'll do whatever it takes for this team to get to the top, get to the mountaintop.
And we'll accompany Serge Ibaka to Homeland as he helps a local family shop for groceries.
Get everything you want.
They picked everything, yeah, pretty much.
It's all coming your way starting right now on Thunder Insider. Welcome to another edition of Thunder Insider. I'm Leslie McCaslin. Happy to be joined by our play-by-play man, Brian Davis, and the voice of the Thunder on the radio, Matt Pinto. Well, we are well into January now, the crazy month of January for this team. But after the most recent win against Minnesota, this team is now 18-3 here at Chesapeake Arena. And more importantly, they continue to be resilient. 7-1 now in a game after a loss, and 3-0 when they've played a team and get to face them for a second time. So they're showing some good things here early in 2013.
Yeah, there's no question. And when you look at their season so far, Leslie, a 21-4 start, I mean, they were blowtorch intensity from the outset, put a lot of wins in the standings to help themselves. And I think, Brian, right now, when you look at the last 10, 6-4, the target's not just on the back, but it's on the front. They're recognizing what it's going to take to sustain that high level of play, I think, at this
And
juncture.
also, they're looking in the mirror, Matt. They're looking at what they need to do to get better. It is a process for this team. The mission is always about consistency and building blocks. And one of the things, to your point about going 3-0 against teams that have handled them in previous meetings, the Thunder's second game against Minnesota, they learned a couple of tough lessons against Minnesota and at Washington last Monday, where the defense was not sound. They gave up 30 points in the first quarter, and things just progressed to losses from there. Well, in that second game against Minnesota, they seal the paint. They deny access to that drive and kick action that worked so well for the Timberwolves the first time around. So out of a couple of bad moments, the Thunder has created something good that they can continue to build off of.
So let's expand on that a little bit. You mentioned that game against Washington. They have 11 road games this month. They've already been to Toronto and Washington. 1-1 during that time. What did you think? It was kind of an up and down trip for them.
Yeah, it was. And without question, the game against Washington, I think, stunned everybody, given the Wizards' injury issues and given the fact that they have played poorly this season for the most part. But to their credit, they have wins against the NBA finalists from a season ago, Brian. One of only two teams in the league that's done that, Memphis the other. But I think this is a great opportunity for this team, and that word I think sometimes is overused. Brian, quality teams like being on the road together. They bond, they come together, they learn things about one another, and this team genuinely likes being around each other. I think this is a galvanizing time for this team this month.
It's an extension of the family philosophy that we've seen play out over the last, now going on 5 seasons. And again, we know that this team can handle its business on the road. For the last 3 years, Oklahoma City has been one of the best road teams in the NBA. And I do think, to your point, Matt, there's some respite in this. A lot of times when you're at home, there are a lot of demands, people calling. You got to, take care of chores around the house. You got to get the kids to the babysitter. People are calling you for tickets and that kind of thing. When you get on the road, a lot of those distractions disappear. In some respects, being on the road is actually is easier. And that goes for the broadcasters too.
And I loved what Kevin Martin had to say about that same line. When you're home, you get to go home. You're going back to your family and your house. You're not spending that extra time bonding with your teammates. So for a new guy like him, really important during this time to get to know his teammates, especially going down the stretch, hopefully toward the playoffs. So one guy, though, that we have seen been so consistent even in these losses is Serge Ibaka. 7 double-doubles on the year. I mean, did you even expect this at this point last year?
I wouldn't say that I would have attached a number to this, but going back the last several weeks now, Serge is averaging 10 rebounds a game, and a lot of those are off the offensive glass, which, to a point that we talked about last week, that's testimony to the Thunder's ability to space the floor, but also his mid-range jump shot and his ability to shoot it from the top of the key or the free throw line is also a credit to the Thunder's ability to space the floor, create enough room where you can not only get a good shot, you can get a great shot.
Well, and I think back to the rebounding scenario, it shows how he's learning, because to offensive rebound, you got to have instincts as to where a shot's going when it's released and where you need to be in terms of carving out space to be there. Nick Collison does it magnificently, and I think Serge has learned from Nick's example. But I think as he continues to expand his game, Leslie, it just elevates this team's stock almost to the stratosphere.
Well, we've seen him start to take advantage when teams key in on Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant too much, that he can really be an impact on this offense.
Don't forget that Scott Brooks has been saying for going on 3 years now that Serge was one of those teams, one if not the best mid-range jump shooter. All he has continued to do is work on that, refine that, and now look at his shooting percentage on the mid-range is just lights out.
Durant hit him with a pass late in the Washington game in a must-score scenario. He knocked down the baseline jumper. It shows you the level of trust his teammates have in him in latter game situations as well.
Ahead on Thunder Insider.
I believe they're a little more acclimated with my game, and I'm a little more acclimated, especially with the organization and what they expect. Hi, I'm Reggie Jackson, and you're watching Thunder Insider.
Welcome back to the studios of the Oklahoman and NewsOK.com as Thunder Insider rolls on. Well, Reggie Jackson has definitely stepped up as the backup point guard to Russell Westbrook. In just his second year in the NBA, he's already showing a lot of confidence and athleticism on the floor, and his teammates and coaches have noticed. But the development and the work on his game is just beginning. Here's more from Reggie on what he's working on.
Yeah, that's steal by Jackson.
Playing against Russ is possibly one of the hardest jobs to do in the NBA, and I'm pretty sure many point guards around the league will agree.
Here goes Westbrook, attack.
A guy who's coming at you 100 miles per hour every play, always attacking, always looking to get to the basket or get to a pull-up, which is incredible. How fast he moves and how quick he just stops on a dime and elevates straight up and straight down. And how high he elevates is hard to contest, and really all you can do is hope that everybody's on cue and all five guys on defense are ready to compete and that everybody's talking behind you, because if you're on an island, he's virtually unstoppable, and then especially once he gets in transition, you're at his mercy. So playing against those guys really teaches me how I have to be ready every play to compete, and how I have to kind of know my opponent to maybe limit their abilities. It's amazing to play against them every day in practice. Definitely more comfortable. I mean, it's an 82 game season, so that's going to help. And when you were picked favorites last year to win, a big part was that secondary group. And when Eric went down, I mean, I took it upon myself. I think I made myself a little too uncomfortable. Was I wasn't necessarily playing to be myself. I was playing to try to fill in to be Eric. And we're two totally different people, so I was frustrated with myself last year. A bunch of my ups and downs came with that, but playing that summer league, I see why it can just be a great experience for some of the young players, because you get to be yourself, you get to kind of create your own identity, and I believe that helped me, because I just got back to being who I was and trying to show coaches that I can play, and that I'll do whatever it takes for this team to get to the top, get to the mountaintop. So I believe they're a little more acclimated with my game, and I'm a little more acclimated, especially with the organization and what they expect.
Well, as you can see, Reggie definitely getting more confident with every game. Coach Brooks said he's really liked what he's seen from him, especially controlling the tempo on offense. I mean, you guys have seen good things from him as well.
He has learned, Leslie, to vary his own speeds. He talked about how Russell goes so lightning quick all the time. But the thing that I appreciate about Reggie is that he gives that second unit a nice change of pace. And I look at him kind of like a bulldozer or a road grader, because he's strong, he's wide, and he plays with great power and leverage. And when he gets inside, he's somebody the defense has got to account for. And Matt, when you consider the improvement in his decision-making process, he's not just thinking shoot first all the time, he's thinking pass first, but he does other things to make that happen and give the team a good possession. I think he's come miles, and I do think Summer League had a ton to do with that.
And he was wide-eyed a season ago, and I think that took away his basketball instinctual abilities. One of the things the Thunder loved about him in the draft was that he doesn't rely strictly on athleticism. He does have variation in his game, and the length you can't teach. That's one of the things he brings at both ends of the floor. So he's evolving as a player, and it's making making a difference for this team off the bench.
Well, and all these guys are, because the more they go to Tulsa and the more they come back and they get experience, we're seeing this with all of them. DeAndre Liggins, I mean, most recently, who's really come in, and when coach needs a spark, someone new is providing it every other game.
You know, the Tulsa 66ers have played 7 men this year who were in the Thunder's training camp. And Liggins is just he had a triple-double for them on opening night. And being able to get up there, get some regular playing time, the one thing that it's probably easier for Liggins, his big thing has always been sort of defensive energy. You can come in and do that a little bit easier than you can come in and spot up and hit a three-point shot. But Liggins is a great example of how that whole thing works up and down the Turner Turnpike.
This is how it's gone, I think, the last 2 games. Scott Brooks has stood up and said, energy. And Liggins says, me, I got that covered for you, coach. Put me in. And that's exactly what he's brought.
To your point before, he also has the trust of his teammates. I mean, Durant kicks it out to him for a wide open corner 3 against Minnesota the other night. I mean, when you have young guys like that who are scratching and clawing for playing time, to have the trust of your all-stars the way that we've seen develop in Oklahoma City, that's priceless.
And, you know, he's one of those guys, Leslie, that will guard a guy from the time they walk in the gym, literally. I mean, and he harasses and he gets under the skin of an opposing offensive player, which this team needs at times coming in off the bench. So it's another role that he can serve as long as Scott continues to call on him.
And the other thing I don't think we give them enough credit for is with that second unit, they are changing all the time, especially when a team goes big or if they go small. Sometimes you're calling on Hash, sometimes you're calling on other guys. I mean, it is a chemistry thing and getting used to each other. They're constantly working on.
One of the ways that you frustrate an opponent is you change the pace, you change the speed, you change the look of your game. It's like, you know, slamming the throttle down and then pulling it back and doing things within that. The Thunder is really effective in that regard.
They're really versatile, and I think that's the thing that you're talking about, Leslie, and you as well, Brian, that they can match up in any variety of ways, and when they dictate pace and tempo, then they suddenly put the opposition on their heels. So that's a night-to-night proposition in the NBA, because one night it could be the mammoth Memphis Grizzlies. The other night, you're playing a team like Denver that spaces the floor and tries to spray jumpers from all over the place.
And don't forget the bottom line. I mean, early on in the season, the Thunder was one of the best bench-scoring teams in the NBA. Beat Minnesota on Wednesday night by 15 points off the bench. That's always important, and the numbers don't lie. This team is 14-0 when 5 men score 10 or more, and the bench has always got to be a part of that.
Yeah, 39 points from the bench in that game. They're learning to adjust. That's what I like to see. It doesn't matter who they bring in there, they're adjusting. Well, don't go away. We are just getting started here on Thunder Insider. Coming up on the show, we will hear from Nick Gallo for Thunder.NBA.com, who will join me and Brian Davis to break down that pick and roll defense and why it's so hard to do and why the Thunder seem to have it down. Thunder fans, it's time to vote your Thunder players into the 2013 NBA All-Star Game in Houston. Just visit thunder.nba.com and click on the All-Star button to learn all about the different ways to vote. You're able to vote for all of your Thunder players once every 24 hours. Remember, fans, vote Thunder, vote often. Welcome back to the shows. We are now joined by Nick Gallo, who does incredible stuff for our Thunder website, thunder.nba.com. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. Practice reports, game coverage, tons of stuff. I know he's kept you busy.
He is the hardest working man in the organization.
It's true.
Do you ever sleep?
Sam Presti might have something to say
every
about
now
that.
and then.
Well, let's start by, we are going to break down some film. We always like to do that here on Thunder Insider. And we're going to start with pick and roll defense, something this team seems to have down lately.
We have a play here from the Thunder's recent game against the Philadelphia 76ers, and it really shows the way that the Thunder concentrates on doing their job, having all 5 guys involved in the defensive play. And it starts with Thabo Sefolosha and Serge Ibaka here. Lavoy Allen's going to set a pick. And you're going to notice Serge is really hedging out hard. He's pushing the ball handler away from the rim. And that's really, really important as Serge's man ducks to the basket. You also see Kevin Martin and Russell Westbrook here tying up the man in the middle in order to give Serge time to recover.
It starts with Cephalosha slowing the ball up top and then forcing the ball handler wide. You don't ever want to let your opponent operate freely down the lane, straight down the middle of the paint, because bad things happen. Your point guard can drive and dish. The big can get up a full head of steam, and then you really can't stop him without fouling him. But the Thunder has really built on some problems that they have had early in the season with the pick and roll defense, but they've turned that bad news into good news on a consistent basis. I thought in the second meeting against Minnesota, they were brilliant. Every time I looked at the way we defended the pick and roll, I thought our guys were building a brick wall across the lane.
The guards especially did a great job, and Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook talked about that last night, that they made sure that they wanted Nikola Pekovic, the big burly center for the Timberwolves, to feel them every single time out when they were coming down the lane. So Thunder's been doing a very good job of rotating over, being in that help side position, and making sure that the guys are not getting easy runs to the basket.
And the coaches here, and you're seeing some of this, the coaches talk all the time about hitting opposing players as they run through the lane, much like Westbrook, as we were talking off the air, Nick. Westbrook hitting Nikola Pekovic, who had a great deal of success in the first meeting with Minnesota. You got to let those big guys know you're there, and that falls to all five men, the bigs and the smalls, to make that happen.
And once that happens, you got the opposing team is having trouble getting their sets run. So when you blow up that first pick and roll, there's only 10 seconds left on the shot clock, and they got to figure something out.
That's right.
Pretty impressive that according to Synergy, they are #1 in the league at containing the pick and roll ball handler, which is going to be huge down the stretch when they're facing teams that really hang their hat on the pick and roll.
That's what playoff basketball is all about. I mean, you better get used to that. I mean, the Memphis Grizzlies come right to mind. The Los Angeles Clippers have become much more effective at running the pick and roll now that Chris Paul is running their offense. And, of course, San Antonio, as we saw last year in the conference finals, Nick, ran a ridiculous percentage of plays on the pick and roll.
They're going to run it about 60 times a game at least. So that's something that Russell Westbrook and the big men are really going to have to be conscious of.
Well, earlier this week, the Tulsa 66ers swept the D-League Showcase Skills Contest. Andy Routens won the three-point shootout contest, and Dominique Sutton claimed the slam dunk competition crown. So congratulations to both of those guys. And make sure to check up on all your 66ers updates by going to our website at thunder.nba.com.
Ahead on Thunder Insider.
Kip gave me a game plan where we can actually see phenomenal results. And not just in Oklahoma City, but all Kip schools nationwide. Some of the highest performing schools nationwide.
Thunder fans, don't forget to take part in our Watch and Win contest brought to you by your Oklahoma Chevy team dealers. Not only do you have a chance to win tickets to an upcoming home game, just visit thunder.nba.com and enter the code 6548 or text the code to 68278 for your chance to win. Welcome back as we wrap up the show. Well, Homeland and Thunder recently selected a local family who would benefit from a grocery shopping spree. Free groceries would be special all by themselves, but when you're joined by the likes of Serge Ibaka to help you, it's a unique and special experience.
How you doing? You good?
I was stunned, and then I was excited, and been excited ever since.
Couldn't be a greater family that would deserve, this. Our kids are good in school, and she's very supportive of all our school programs. So I said, makes her a great candidate. And so I nominated them, and we're lucky enough to win.
You guys love fruits. That's good.
We try to help 4 families a year with a shopping spree, and it's just good for the community to be able to share with the people that need it. Seeing the Thunder and Homeland being part of it, to be able to be part of that to help these people, it's just a blessing, I think.
It was a lot of fun, especially the kids, they was looking for something, and it was fun. For us, it's really, really important to always come back, be of the community, and try to help, try to make them happy the way they make us happy, Get everything you want.
They picked everything out, pretty much. They did the shopping. I just told them a few things, and then they just kind of did everything else for me.
Just seeing this franchise, the way they get involved with the community, and they're just seem to be genuine people and really care, and it's really nice to see that, with all the things going on in the world nowadays, with these people coming in to help, and it's to me it just means a lot being part of it.
It's really good because it helps out people that can't afford to do things. It helps out a lot.
Serge was great with Heather Boulware and her family, encouraging them to pick out everything they needed. Well, every month, the Thunder recognizes a Devon Community Hero. It's an award that goes to someone who's made a significant difference in our community by offering up their time, talents, or even finances. This month, the Thunder was happy to select Tracy McDaniel.
You want a better grade? So 75 is not good enough for you? 79 is not good enough? I like that. Give it a, you want A? I like that.
The 5th through 8th grade students at the Kip Reach College Preparatory School in Northeast Oklahoma City face many challenges outside the classroom. Most are from low-income families. Many are from troubled homes. On the surface, they face many obstacles to achieving success in the classroom. But don't tell Tracy McDaniel these students can't be successful. He says with the right tools, all students can learn at a high level.
We teach the kids to block out everything when they walk in the door, because this is about them, and teach them how to advocate for their learning, and so they can change the circumstances that they're in. So a lot of kids know the circumstance, but they also know that, hey, by getting a great education, through high school, through college, I can change my whole circumstance, and maybe even my family's circumstance.
Since founding the Oklahoma City Kip Charter School, he's seen a dramatic increase in test scores, now the highest in the district. On the state report card this year, Kip received an A grade. McDaniel says the success comes from a focus on reading comprehension, parental support, a rigorous curriculum, and high expectations of excellence and hard work.
It's really not rocket science. If you put a great teacher in front of them and you give them a double block of math and reading every single day and 2 hours of homework every night, the kids will excel. All right, you guys good? What you guys learning? It's preparing them for life in general, not just book smart, not just getting a job, but being a productive member of society. We want good citizens, and we want them to stay in Oklahoma if we can. And so producing and creating a citizen like that, it can help but benefit our city.
Well, that'll do it for this week, but be sure to keep up with the team as they head to LA, Portland, and Phoenix. You can check out Thunder Live 30 minutes before and then right after every game on Fox Sports Oklahoma. We'll see you back here next week when we return for a home game against the Nuggets. Until then, have a good weekend.